Welcome to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We are so excited to have you joining us on this journey where we explore different ways to empower your soul, whether it's healing in your kitchen or all the way up in the corporate world. Come with us as we look into different ways to heal your mind, body, and soul. My virtual obsession, my romantic thriller, is now available on Amazon and other online retailers. This book explores the intersection of loneliness, love, and how chasing perfection through technology can lead to fantasy and reality colliding. My virtual obsession out now. Crestani with another episode of Willow Healing Matters, and today I am joined with Britt Michaelian. So she is a frequency artist and Reiki master with master's degrees in marriage and family therapy and art therapy. She has been featured in the LA Times, was named one of the top 10 most creative artists in 2025. I got that right. And while her artwork transmits healing frequencies and is collected around the world, her quantum healing work is changing lives for women who are looking to tap into their inner wisdom for more calm, clarity, and confidence in their lives. So a big welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to connect. Yeah.
So the first question I feel to ask you straight away is, what is frequency art?
Yeah. So frequency art, it's interesting. So frequency art means that my art transmits healing frequencies. And so depending on, it's a whole process, a sacred process. I started out as a traditional artist. And my art was exhibited in galleries all across the United States and collectors around the world. And then once I became a Reiki master, and then my mother passed away from cancer. My father had cancer, and then my sister started a cancer journey. And when my sister had cancer was when I became a Reiki master, and I had stopped painting. And I had this kind of divine download one day when she was asleep after I had Reiki'd her back. She had a tumor in her back that was really painful. And so when I would Reiki it, she would calm and she could sleep. And so she bought me a paint by numbers kit, and I hadn't been painting in so many years. And I went down to go paint this paint by numbers kit, and I had this vision, and I saw like my hands, and I saw, that I was to put Reiki healing energy into the artwork that I was going to create, and that artwork would be transmitting healing to my sister when I wasn't there. But then I was, that was kind of the new direction that I was supposed to take, was to be creating this artwork to put out into the world that would be transmitting healing frequencies. And so I have a background also. When I got my master's degrees, I worked in a hospital setting doing art therapy in oncology, heart transplant, and pediatric units. And so when this kind of came through to me to create artwork in this way, I thought, well, what a great thing if I can get my artwork into hospitals. So I'm still working on that, but I do have collectors of my work that have cancer. So I have one person who recently purchased a piece who has cancer that spread to her sacral region. So I have a painting that is specifically for the sacral chakra. And so she was very attracted to that for her healing for her cancer. So it's just interesting, how it speaks to different people. Some people want healing energy for their mental clarity or for, in their business, in their office. And some people want it in their home for calmness. And then other people want it for physical healing. So I don't really like to put too many boundaries on what's possible with it, but it's a different way of being an artist. That's for sure.
I love this. I truly got goosebumps when you were talking, Britt. I love this so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Because it makes so much sense, because everything carries an energy and a frequency, so why can't it carry over into creative art that's birthed from your creativity as well, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
And infused. And I resonate so much with this because sometimes I make custom teas for people, and I'll actually put my energy into the tea as I'm making it, and then they'll go, oh, how did you know I needed to work on that? It's like, I didn't. It was just just trusting. So I imagine your process is the same. It's like, I didn't know this is what you needed. I just allowed for it to come through.
Exactly. That is definitely it. And so for me, I went from just putting paint on the canvas to now there's a whole process where I'm saging myself, and I'm raking myself and all the materials. And then I put crystals into the paint and, for specific frequencies. And then I name the painting with a mantra, and, I'm praying to God to send healing through me. That's for the person that this painting is ultimately going to go toward, that's the healing that they need to, fulfill their purpose. And so the creation of the artwork is such a different process. And there's a lot of it, like you said, where it's not even, I'm just a channel for the energy to flow through for whoever the painting is for.
And it's almost like you're giving the painting a purpose, right?
Yes.
It's, rather than using it just as a way to express your creativity, which is still a purpose, but it's giving it an ongoing purpose. Like, hey, let's birth this, and then you can continue to share your beautiful image or creation into the world and ongoing.
Yeah. 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 It's and it's funny because I used to be in the traditional art world. So I would be in galleries. And I knew that when I started painting like this, that the galleries in the traditional art world were not going to understand this. And they were going to think it was kind of too outside the box for them, which is interesting because when you look at so much contemporary art, it's very outside the box, but it does turn a lot of people in the art world to have it be kind of in the metaphysical space because they don't really know what to do with it. But I do feel that there are more and more artists who are creating artwork that is like this. So it'll be interesting to see where we're at in a few years with everything in consciousness and the world going on right now. I feel like we're kind of rapid cycling through to the next reality of where we're going to be. So I feel like frequency art will be a part of, what the next wave of humanity or whatever, wherever we're heading.
Well, I agree with you. I feel like we are shifting where we have to be more conscious about what we put in our spaces, right? Whether it's artwork and you can have a piece of art that's activating you on some level or assisting with your healing or shifting energy. Why not put that in your space instead of just having a blank wall?
Yeah. And the interesting thing is now since I've been doing this work and I'm an energy worker, so it's, I sense the energy of other artwork. And it's interesting because there is a lot of artwork that the artist was creating this in a very low vibration state. And I can sense that and feel it. Now, I don't say that value, there's no value or it doesn't have, but I personally wouldn't choose. And I feel like for anybody who's interested in collecting artwork, I think it's an important thing to kind of sense whether or not you feel like your energy is being uplifted or you feel it being heavy, when you're in contact or visually or just physically with this artwork. And it's when I do an annual art and wellness event where I share my latest collection of my work. And I talk to people about actually with artwork, you're trained to look at it through your eyes, but it's actually really interesting to close your eyes and see what you feel from the artwork because most of us are becoming more and more sensitive. And so because we're becoming more aware of, kind of our other clairs or whatnot, we are able to sense, even people who haven't been training in Reiki and, things like that, they're able to sense, and they doubt it, but it's interesting because it's real. And then, also speaking to kind of the doubters, I've had skeptics who say to me like, oh, well, how can you prove scientifically that your paintings are transmitting healing frequencies? And I said, you know what? It actually doesn't even matter if you believe it, because if you know that the intention behind the painting is to help heal your throat chakra, for instance, and so in that color of the turquoise or light blue, that there's healing intention in that, and the name of the painting is for that chakra and just the idea behind it, then every time that you look at that painting, you're going to think about that concept, which will then bring that frequency of healing your throat chakra into your awareness. So whether or not you even understand that there is healing, and I've had, people who are sensitive healers who have confirmed that there is definitely healing being received from these paintings, both in person and through digital and print. And so it's just interesting, it's interesting that you can be a skeptic, but just mentioning the intention behind the painting does bring that frequency into your field,
Yeah, and it's so interesting because when I work with clients, like sometimes, things will happen with people even in my family, and I don't even offer my services because people are like, but why? I'm like, because if they don't believe in what I do, it's not going to work. If you
Right.
truly believe the picture's a piece of crap and she's all woo or whatever like that, even if you know the intention and you're so adamant not to believe it, it's not going to work on you because there's no doorway for that energy to shift, right? But like you
Right.
said, if they're like, oh, I resonate with that intention, that can be enough
Right.
versus I'm just shutting the door on it.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. But so I'm really excited with where things are going right now in the world and how, I know there's a lot of people who feel like things are kind of heavy, but I really do feel like we have to go through this period of time in order for things to kind of come out on the other side. This is just necessary. Right. And so for me, the artwork that I create is, a really like one of the most important things for me. And then also I view being a healer as being a type of artist as well, because so I'm a frequency artist, both in the practice of painting and creating artwork. And I feel that I'm also a frequency artist in the sense of helping people heal through all the different tools and modalities that I've learned. I view what I create in that process as a form of art.
I just heard intuitively that the soul is your canvas when you're working in that space.
Yeah.
And it's
Yes.
almost like they're showing me you're actually clearing away like layers and layers of dust and debris that's kind of kept this beautiful artwork hidden. And as you
Mm.
work with them, it's like shifting it all off so the canvas can truly shine and you can see the beauty that was hidden underneath. So, and I know you're stepping more into that quantum healing space, which is like my favorite place to work from
Yeah.
too. So, what put you into like, okay, it's easy to see how you had that bridge between, all right, I've learned Reiki and then I picked up this paintbrush and got this download. Then what stepped you further into working with people at that quantum level?
Yeah, thank you. So I've been working all along since I got my master's degrees 20 something years ago. And then when I worked in the hospital and then I had three children. And so my attention and my ability to go work in the hospital setting was not as it was before. And so I started working with people kind of one-on-one. So I did like life coaching and that type of thing and business coaching. And then when my family was kind of going through their healing journeys and whatnot, my mom passed in 2012 and my sister passed in 2021. And my dad's still around. He just actually turned 86 years old. And so I became, I decided that I wanted to work in more of the healing capacity because my kids have now grown. And so I started studying Dolores Cannon's work. Actually, I started studying Dolores Cannon's work while my sister was still alive, and I would watch Dolores Cannon videos with her, which was really cool because she was like in the process of leaving her physical body. And on the one hand, she still hoped that she would overcome the cancer because she has three children. And then on the other hand, I think she knew that that was not going to be the way that things were going to go. And so when we would watch Dolores Cannon's her lectures, and she would talk about, in between death and birth and, kind of the whole sphere of everything. I think it gave my sister it lessened her fear. And so before she passed, I studied Beyond Quantum Healing, which Candace Craw Goldman, who studied with Dolores Cannon and worked with Dolores Cannon for a number of years before she passed, she created Beyond Quantum Healing because she wanted to be able to incorporate other healing modalities into the work. Whereas with Dolores, she's very strict. You do this, then you do this, then you do that. And I still want to go through that training just because I'm just curious. But the Beyond Quantum Healing process allows you to incorporate other things, like Reiki. And I have been training in so many different EFT, TFT, all these types of things.
All the acronyms.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah. And it's I feel like I'm never going to be done learning. I'm constantly reading books, listening to podcasts. I'm very interested in all of it. And the work that I've been doing has been one-on-one. And I got to a point where I realized that I want to create a process for people because I feel like where we're moving as humanity is we're moving less to from the external validation, external assistance, and more moving into being able to heal ourselves and being able to get those tools. So I created a program actually. So what I've been doing is I've been doing the quantum healing hypnosis. I also channel. So I would have my clients send me their questions that they wanted to ask beforehand, and I would channel those questions. And then I would do the hypnosis with them. And then afterwards, I would read them the channeling, and it always would sync up every single time. And it still does. And so then when I was creating this program to teach people how to do this work for themselves, to remove myself from the equation, because I feel like you need to do this constantly. It's almost like meditation, you know? And so I give them the tools to do the channeling so that they can get access to the same information that I was getting access to. And I don't really necessarily call it channeling because I think some people have a little bit of a hang up with that word. And so I just, call it accessing your spirit, accessing your soul, and just receiving information, because that's what it is.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I have people who have health issues that they want to know why they have cancer, or they have, whatever. I have people who have relationship issues that they just can't find clarity on. I have people who are in business who want, clarity with that. And so it's really nice to be able to have people now where they're doing the work and following along in the modules. And then I have a membership, a mastermind, where if they want to join that, they can have access to me once a month and they can get all their questions answered. And they can always email me with questions and stuff too. But I want to give people the tools to start becoming their own greatest healer.
And I love that, Britt, because it's such an important spiritual ethic point of view, right? So it's like, for anyone listening, if you are working with somebody and feel dependent on them, like you can't access your own healing without them, then there's a very uneven relationship there. There's a difference between someone supporting you through the process and teaching you skills if you want to know them. Some of my clients were just like, I'm just going to lay down and work. You work on me today. I'm exhausted. Yes. And you're like, I respect that. Lay down. Let's go.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
But then I'll always teach people, like, and then later on, if they message me like, hey, this is going on, I'm like, okay, remember that process we learned about calling in this or doing this? Yeah, I remember. Try that first. If that doesn't work, then let's have a session. Like, oh, that worked. Amazing. Thank you. But then it's like this different level of respect that you're creating, and you're allowing them to, like you said, become their own greatest healer, but step into their own power as well.
Right. Most people, when they first get into this type of work, need somebody to hold them accountable for it, because there's a lot of blocks. So like there's 5 modules in this program, and part of it is the limiting beliefs, which we all have, and so it's working through those and the resistance and things like that, and giving them the tools to recognize the limiting beliefs and then reframing those things. And so it makes me so happy to get messages from people saying, I have only done the first module and I'm already seeing a huge shift, and I'm like, it's working.
You're like, yay.
I know.
And then sometimes we're like, we're not crazy.
Yes, exactly. But it's pretty cool. I really do believe that, just like with the artwork, it's going to attract a certain type of person, and it's not going to make sense to a different type of person. And I finally am okay with that, genuinely. I'm not going to try and convince anybody of it. Either it's, something that you get. I'm sorry, my cat is here always. I feel like every podcast I ever go on, this cat always wants to say hi. This is Bella.
My son's rabbit is under my feet, and he doesn't let me pick him up. But he will always come under my feet when I'm recording a podcast now, and I don't know why.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, they feel the energy or something. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So we got the rabbit and the cat as well. So we're calling in all the animal energy today. Animals, you've been recognized. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, but it is funny because it's like in my family, and I don't know how this is. How old is your son?
He's 9.
Okay, so your kids are your son's probably too young, but my girls are, 20, 24, and 26. And, they think I'm a little bit nuts sometimes with how kind of, the quantum field is just kind of a little outside there. But it is pretty, Yeah, but it is, you know, it doesn't stop me from talking about it, you know? And I think it's important for kids to kind of be thinking about this stuff a little bit differently than when, you know, when I was younger, it was like not even mentioned, you know, in the biofield and picking up other people's emotions and, you know, how important energy hygiene is and, you know, um, and so that
Yeah.
is, yeah, part of
Yeah.
the work that we do is teaching people the importance of energy hygiene, you know, just like we take a shower, we clear our energy. It's important.
100%. Or spiritual hygiene. That's what I call it. Spiritual
Yes.
hygiene.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we're all empathic, whether you want to think we are or not, we are, because we're all energy beings. We're always interacting with other energy fields, whether they're good fields, bad fields, in between, whatever, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
there's always something collected. And the more you learn to clear it, the more you can actually just feel yourself. And the more
True.
sensitive you are, the more it's your gift. You know,
Right.
sensitivity doesn't have to be this bad thing. It's actually more you stepping into your power and just realizing, okay, I actually just need to put up a few more boundaries and do a bit more clearing so that I can feel who I am. But then at the same time, you can read a situation really quickly. Oof, no, that feels terrible. I'm running away. A bit like you were saying with the portraits earlier. You
Yeah.
can feel the lower frequency and you're like, poof. And when you were sharing that example, I had the idea of music, right? There's certain songs and music I cannot listen to. I'm like, nah, not vibing with that. And it might even be
Yeah.
the words are happy. It's just like, nah, I don't like the energy of the person
Yes.
singing it, or I don't like
It's
the
so,
energy. Yeah,
yeah, it's totally true. I know it's funny. So my two of my daughters are in the music industry. And it's
of
funny
course they are.
because yeah, it's, you know, sometimes you hear certain songs and you really do feel the lower frequencies, you know, and that it's not kind of, and I think people are actually becoming more aware of that, you know, because when did people ever talk about that type of stuff before? You know what I mean? It's
Well,
important.
they would just say that's the bad music.
Yes,
Don't listen
exactly.
to
Don't
that.
listen to that rock and roll. What is that? Yeah. I know. That's actually one more thing I didn't talk about is one of the final things that I do with my artwork is I use a tuning fork and I tune the wood in all of the canvas. All the way around. You can see this piece behind me. I tune the materials of the painting to 528 hertz, which is the miracle frequency, so that all of the materials in the painting are of that, you know, kind of balanced. I'm cleansing myself, I'm cleansing the materials, and then I'm putting, you know, really truly healing frequencies in every aspect of the work. And you know, aside from the intention and then the mantras are always relating to whatever the main theme of the work is. And, you know, it's funny because I feel like healing frequencies, like the music aspect of that is really important, and sound baths and things like that for
Yes.
our healing. And I love that that is becoming more popular. What are we going to be like in 10 years when right now everybody's doing birthday parties for adults with sound baths? Do you know what I mean?
Yes, because one
Yes.
of my good friends, her 40th was last year, was a sound bath. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is the best idea for a
I know.
40th. And
Yes.
she said it was this or a hike. And I'm like, I am so grateful you chose the sound bath.
This is amazing, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
We are evolving.
And I feel it's just a reflection too of people are asking more questions and they're questioning deeper and they don't want to be given a diagnosis and stuck in that state anymore and just, well, actually, no, I feel there's something else. Like, you know, and they keep questioning. And a lot of the guests I've had on this show who have been through healing journeys or even practitioners, they all say the same thing. It always started with the question, or it was, this is the state I was in. So I went down this path to, you know, find more about it and find, you know, what was going on. And like you said, you had that journey with yourself where you put your paintbrushes down and it was your sister who made you pick them back up in a very unorthodox manner.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You know, and this is why we're here, right? We're here to support each other, to trigger people, but also to trigger them out of their numbness so that they step into, actually, maybe I need to face those things now so I can have the courage to step into that next chapter of my life. And I just had this image of your pictures doing exactly that for some people, and they run the other way. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. It's true. Yeah. I mean, it's so funny that you mentioned that, because I feel like it's so important for people to understand that when you're triggered, it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you, or that it's just like a gift. It's totally an opportunity. It's an invitation for you to look deeper on what the healing is in that. Like, what is that? And it's so interesting because in the past, I feel like people have really just run away from it. Like, how can they numb themselves? But now that dialogue and that, awareness has opened up so much that people are realizing that the pain points, I think, what is it? The wound is where what is that quote? Do you know what I mean? The wound is where the healing happens, or something like that. There's a quote that is, I think it's a Rumi quote, but it's, it's where you need to focus in order to, it's like begging for your attention. Yeah.
Yeah.
Attention and intention. Yeah.
Yeah. And the more, I like that, intention, but it's true. Like, the more you run away from these things, the more they're actually just going to amplify and keep showing up in your life. And I talk about with people about having accidental courage, where you're backed into a corner and you have to make the decision, versus intentional courage, where you know it's coming, so you actually choose to take hold of the situation and step towards it, rather than, I'm backed in a corner, I have to do the decision no matter what. Why not?
Right.
Isn't it? Why not suffer? Why we all have to suffer in life? Why not choose suffering that aligns with your passion rather than suffer for somebody else? Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very good point.
And as we start to finish our time together, Britt, I asked the guests that come on the show, if you could heal or change something in the world, what would it be?
Wow. Especially right now. There's a quote that is by Jimi Hendrix, speaking of music. And it is, when the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace. And I would like for the power of love to be the most important thing in the world for everybody.
Amen.
Yeah.
Now I have that song in my head, The Power of Love. Like, that's actually, that's going to be in my head for the rest of the day now. Thank you. I love that.
That's a good one. That's a good frequency. Yeah.
It is a good frequency. And if people want to come and find about your work, or do people commission pieces from you, or how can they tap in with the world of Britt?
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram, Britt Michaelian. It's like Michaelian, my last name, and it's 2 T's and Britt. And then you can find my website from there, but it's brittmichaelian.art. And yes, I do commissions. I do have people who want very specific chakras or healing energy or something to be addressed. So I definitely do commissions, and I have clients and collectors all over the world. So, and I don't work through a gallery or anything anymore. I'm just doing everything through my own business. And then I also have the Quantum Manifestation Self-Study Program and the mastermind that's associated with that to support people for accountability. And then also just if they've got questions. So, I mean, my whole mission is to give people and to be of service. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. So yeah. I'd love for anybody to reach out and say hi.
Beautiful. And I'll make sure to put all these details in the show notes, and I'll connect with you on Instagram as well. But thank you so much, Britt, for sharing this beautiful offering with the world and putting that new spin on art, because what a powerful way to birth healing through a medium that a lot of people have in their home anyway.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Are you looking for an afternoon boost to support you until the children go to bed, or to get through that evening meeting? Why not reach for a cup of ceremonial cacao? It will boost your energy, reduce your inflammation, and also allow you to go to sleep at a decent hour. For more information on how to grab your ceremonial cacao, check out the link in the show notes for 10% off. Thank you for listening to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We have so much love and gratitude that you have taken the time out of your day to empower you on your healing journey. The views shared by the person being interviewed might not necessarily reflect that of the host and should be used at your own discernment. Trust what resonates for you and follow your heart and soul guidance. If you have any underlying medical conditions or mental health issues, please consult with your healthcare provider before pursuing any of the recommendations. Likewise, you can always contact the person being interviewed to find out more information. This can be found in the show notes. Remember to activate, align, heal, empower, and find love in everything that you do.